Our filed route from Santa Monica to Palomar is a preferred route between these two airports, and it comes from Southern California's Tower and Route Control System. And it's an interesting and fairly complicated route where we have to do some creative programming in the GTN. The route is the Santa Monica VOR, then the Santa Monica 125-degree radial to intercept Victor 64, to intercept Victor 363, to Dana, and then Victor 23 to Oceanside. And the interesting thing here is the intersection of the Santa Monica 125-degree radial and Victor 64, because it's not a named intersection that we can just type into the GTN. The best way to handle this is to create a user waypoint in the GTN at that point. And you may have shied away from user waypoints on other GPSs because they can be kind of tedious to program, but actually the GTN makes it really easy. So let's see how that works. So let's go to the flight plan, and the first fix that we're going to need is the Santa Monica VOR. And we want the one in California, not the one in Mexico. And then the next point that we want is where the Santa Monica 125-degree radial intersects with Victor 64. And the best way to do that is with a user waypoint. If you want to enter a user waypoint into the flight plan, the easiest way to do that is just to touch Add Waypoint like you normally would, and then enter a waypoint name that doesn't match an existing waypoint name. So just make something up. I'm going to go USR for user, and then 1. Why not? And enter. And now it says no matches were found in the database, and it asks if you want to create a user waypoint, which we do. Okay? Now, if you look under position type, it gives you 3 ways that you can define your user waypoint. One is a lat-long coordinate, another is radial-radial, a radial-radial intersection, and another is a radial and distance point. And in this case, we have an intersection of a radial off of Santa Monica and another radial off of the Seal Beach VOR. So I'm going to choose radial-radial. What it defaults to is the 2 nearest VORs and the radials that intersect where you currently are. So it gives you your present position as the default for a user waypoint. We want to change that. Our first reference waypoint can be Santa Monica, and we'll go 125. And then our second reference waypoint is SLI for Seal Beach. And the radial that defines Victor 64 is 251. Now we have this preview screen here where we can see where our user point is going to be placed. You can zoom out to get a better idea. But it's still a little bit tricky to judge whether it's in exactly the right place that you want it to be. It'll be clearer when we go back to the navigation map. So we'll preview our route from there also just to make sure this looks right. But at a glance, this is in about the right spot. You can pan this map around, but you're not just changing the view when you do that. You're actually moving the waypoint. You can see the orange square that represents our waypoint actually moving here, and you can see the radials that define it moving as well. So we don't want to do that, but that would be an easy mistake to make, is to pan the map around to try to get an idea of where your user waypoint is and not realize that you're actually moving it. So I'll set it back to the Santa Monica 125 and Seal Beach 251. If I know I'm only going to use it on this flight, I could make it temporary, and then it's just a part of this flight plan. It doesn't get saved as a user waypoint that we can use in the future, but I might, so I'm going to leave it as a permanent user waypoint, and we'll choose Create. And there it is in the flight plan. USR1 is the name we gave it, and it also shows the radials that define it right below. Okay, after that it's Victor 64. The GTN doesn't know that our user waypoint is on the airway, so if I were to tap here and try to choose Load Airway, it's grayed out. So I have to at least manually enter one point of the airway here. So I'll put Seal Beach in. And then I can enter the airway. Okay, so that's the route, and because it's defined by the Tower and Route Control System, we pretty much know that that's what we're going to get. So we can call it for our clearance. What we might get, though, probably will get, are some additional departure instructions that we'll have to program into the GTN. So let's see what we get.
750 Papa Whiskey Santa Monica ground, clear to the Palomar Airport. Fly runway heading until reaching the Los Angeles 310 radial. Then turn right heading 250 with no delay. Vectors for the Santa Monica VOR, then as filed. Maintain 3000, expect 5000 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 125.2, squawk 2526.
All right, so it's runway heading until reaching the LA 310 radial before a turn to an assigned heading. Now, I've got the LA VOR tuned in the nav 1. I've got it set on a bearing pointer, so we can watch that and wait for it to swing to 310 to know when we're on that radial. But it would be nice to also have something on the GPS to indicate when it's time to turn. So I'm going to set up direct to LAX and use OBS mode to draw a nice line on the map for us. And I'm just going to grab the LAX VOR from the map here just by tapping on it. And we'll go direct. Choose OBS mode. And then we'll dial in 310. And what that's done, if I zoom out the map, is it's put a white line right on that 310 degree radial, so I can see, for one, that it lines up with the shoreline more or less. That's useful to get a sense for where that actually is and how long we'll be flying runway heading here. And we've got CDI on the HSI here that we're going to see real big swinging across, and it'll be really obvious when we cross that radial. So then when it's time to resequence back into the flight plan, if we get, say, direct to the Santa Monica VOR, I just have to press direct. Flight plan, there it is. If they have us intercept a leg, like, say, that Santa Monica radial, I could just go into the flight plan and activate the leg to our user waypoint.
2750 Papa Whiskey, Santa Monica Tower, runway 21, clear for takeoff.
21, clear for takeoff, 2750 Papa Whiskey.
Okay, so we're off Santa Monica now. We're approaching the shoreline and the LA 310 radial, which is the white line on the map. And the needle on the HSI is starting to come in as well. And when the needle centers, I'll dial in a heading of 250. All right, there we go.
Zero Papa Whiskey, turn right, direct Santa Monica, Clementine 5000.
Right, direct Santa Monica, Clementine 5000, Moody 0 Papa Whiskey.
Okay, we'll climb to 5,000, so we'll roll the altitude select up to 5,000. And direct Santa Monica, so we go direct. Flight plan, Santa Monica, activate. Switch to nav mode. And there comes the turn. So there's a fair amount of programming to do on that departure, but you can imagine how much more programming there is if you're doing it on something older like a Garmin 430. The GTN really does make it easier, and it pays off here with some great views of Los Angeles, including a trip directly over the top of LAX. Compared to older GPS navigators, user waypoints are easy on the GTN. User waypoints can be defined by radial intersections, radial and distance, lat-long coordinates, or by simply tapping a spot on the map.